G'day mates, in today's video we're of course gonna cover FNCS round 1, the qualifiers, who popped off like Benji and Savage and who didn't make it, because we had some absolutely massive names miss out. Mongraal and Mitr0 didn't qualify, Nebs and Hellfire, Rex and Reet, just some absolutely massive names that nobody would have seen coming. I want to talk about all of that, and at the end of today's video I also want to break down the participation, because the FNCS numbers right now show that Fortnite is absolutely booming. Like, the game is on top right now, despite a lot of people saying that this is the worst the game's ever looked. So I want to have a bit of a chat about that as well. So there's a lot to talk about. Let's just jump into it. Now, before we break down the top of the leaderboard and celebrate who did well, we got to talk about who didn't qualify, because that is usually the biggest topic when it comes to the qualifiers. Yes, coming first in the qualifiers is great. It shows you got momentum going into the finals, but ultimately, if you came first or you were the last team to qualify, the stakes are still the same going into tomorrow. But the teams who didn't qualify, they can't play tomorrow. But I need to make this clear. A lot of you guys are freaking out who didn't watch my format video. They still have a chance to qualify in FNCS. This is qualifier 1 of 2. We have round 1 today that took place. The top 400 from the major regions went through, but just because they can't play round 2 and 3 tomorrow, they can still play the round 1 again on Saturday and try to qualify again. So they're not completely out, but let's go through some of the big names that didn't qualify, because there are some absolutely massive ones. Kicking off with Mongraal and Mitr0. I know a lot of people saying, Aussie, that's not surprising. Mongraal and Mitr0 are washed, and I know I've been seeing the comments, okay? But Mongraal and Mitr0 play really well in opens. They have been playing very well in opens so far this season. They have that insane hyper aggressive playstyle. They get a 40 bomb or a 30 bomb in their first game. They wait a while to get the bad lobbies. They get another 30 bomb, and that's how they qualify. It's real dominant pop off Fortnite. The problem is, obviously you can't do that in the later rounds and set lobbies, but the problem is it didn't work today either. Mongraal and Mitr0 started off well. I think in one of their first few games they got a 30+ kill win. They were looking good. They got another good game, but unfortunately they just couldn't piece together those last few games. Mitr0 in their last game went down to a really unfortunate bug with a tree, or he got stuck on a tree. It was super frustrating. I heard it through Mongraal's comms, and unfortunately they didn't qualify. They do still have another chance, like I said, in a couple of days, so we'll see how they go. Now, possibly the biggest upset of the day so far, Nebs and Hellfire. They only just missed out. They needed one more point. They needed one single point in their last 2 games, and unfortunately both of them, they went down on spawn. So Nebs and Hellfire, one of the favorites to win FNCS, not just by me, by pretty much everyone, didn't make it out of round 1. This really shocked people. Again, they only just missed out. I'm sure they'll make it through in the round 1 of qualifier 2, and I'm sure they'll win a semifinals and get to the finals anyway, but it did shock a lot of people. And again, they have had some problems making round 2 only recently though. Last week they didn't make round 2 either, so it looks like maybe opens is a bit of an issue right now, but once they make set lobbies and the finals lobbies, they absolutely dominate. I'm not worried at all about them. Then we had Sniped and Rabbit, and this is a newly formed team. Sniped and Rabbit have just formed. Again, they started off pretty good. I think they went down in their first game. I watched it. Then they got a 30+ kill win in their next game. Everything was looking good, and then unfortunately it came unstuck. From what I was watching when I was watching their game, Sniped streamed the first half of it, I didn't see any glaring problems. They looked pretty good. The comms were good. The vibes were up. They were playing well, but I don't know what went wrong towards the end. Things just came unstuck, I guess. I don't think they ended up bringing it back when they stopped stream either. I couldn't find them on the leaderboard, but someone said they came outside the top 1000. I can't check that, but they definitely didn't get top 400. And those were all the upsets on EU. Really, only 3 of them, which when you think EU was everyone in champs to then top 400, that's not a lot of teams. So I'm actually surprised we didn't get more teams missing out. Those are the 3 main ones that I picked out as like the most notable. Let's move on to NA East, and this one was so unfortunate. A brand new formed team, Peterbot and Quanti, and they didn't qualify for a very good reason and a very rough one. Epic decided to release mid FNCS qualifiers a major update that you had to download, and because of this, Peterbot and Quanti, more specifically Peterbot, spent so long downloading the update, he was not able to get into their final games and missed out on qualifying because of it, and the duo has now split up. You may think, what was this update that was so major? Why did they drop it mid FNCS? Was it like people were teleporting through builds? Were people just dying, going through the map? It was because they wanted to fix live spectator mode. And now this is pretty important because this is for the broadcast. Live spectator mode is what the client Fortnite uses for their spec client. Basically how they do the broadcast. It's how they get the gameplay in real time. It's how the observers fly around. It's basically replay mode on steroids. It's the better version of the replay mode. And this is a priority because they do have the finals broadcast, but doing it mid FNCS, I think this is super unfortunate. There were cases though where I got stuck in the settings while playing a pub game today. So I think it is possible to get stuck in the settings even if it wasn't just for live spec clients. So it was an annoying bug, don't get me wrong, but dropping an update mid FNCS the players have to download, I mean, that's never gonna go down well. And now Peterbot is looking for a teammate. Remember, Peterbot is one of the best players in NA East right now. He just dominated in the EU Cash Cup when he played with Mitr0. Like when he plays with people, he does insanely well, but just can't lock down that solid duo mate. And I feel really bad for him. Maybe someone who very high tier player will snake for him, but with only 4 days of qualifiers, only 2 separate qualifiers, and one of them is down. So you have 1 chance to qualify. Not a lot of people are going to give up their teammate for that. Maybe if players do bad in round 2 or round 3, that's when they'll be more inclined to be like, look, we couldn't do it this time. Let me just play with Peterbot and then we'll dominate. So he might find a teammate for the second qualifier, but it's really, really unfortunate to see. Now, other notable teams as well, we had It's Jerian and Joe2G. I say this notable because Jerian's actually a demon. I'm sure if you guys watch this YouTube content, you know this, but it's not surprising to see It's Jerian plays really well in tournaments right now, despite being a content creator. At one point, he was in top 50. I actually asked him today. He jumped by my stream. He tuned into my viewing party, twitch.tv/AussieAntics. Make sure you're there. And he was talking to me. He said, look, I just don't know. We play so well in our first games. Then we get into the lobbies of the pros and we just don't handle the pressure. We just don't play well against the pros. So super unfortunate to see. I'm sure he'll fix it up though. Jerian's the GOAT. I very, very much expect to see him make round 2 in qualifier 2. And last up, Colazo and Class. If you've been following Colazo at all, you know he's taken a bit of a career pivot. He's been playing a whole bunch of Apex Legends, been absolutely loving it. Honestly, making some of my favorite content. I'm a huge Colazo fanboy. I'll admit that on the record. I watch more Colazo streams than anyone else on Twitch. So I've been loving him Apex grinding. But let's be honest, he's not been playing Fortnite that much. And it looks like that is what was causing the issues. They did have a few games that they were very, very unlucky. And I think when you don't play the game a lot, so obviously maybe your skills aren't as, finely tuned as what they normally are, you're more likely to get tilted. When the already stupid things happen on top of that, it just crumbles the mental and things just don't go your way. So really unfortunate to see that from Colazo and Class. But again, those are probably the 3 main people that I think are worth noting that didn't make round 2 that a lot of people probably were really expecting to. So again, going from anyone in Champs Opens to top 400, it's actually not a lot. NA West though is a different story. NA West, and this one is crazy. We had no Reet and Rehx, no Wavy Jacob and Chris, no Fecoy and Godku, no 40R and Kadenox, and no Mekton and Chicken. If you follow NA West, those are 5 absolutely massive teams. And the first one on that list, obviously Reet and Rehx, the most notable ones, not making it out of round 1. Now, I already know what the comments are going to look like. There's going to be a whole bunch of memes. Specific hardware was unplugged. All those jokes are going to come out. Reet has already made a tweet talking about how he's got to throw his Twitch in sub-only mode because everyone is just being too ridiculous. And I can only imagine what Reet's going through right now, especially because he hasn't been playing that much. He hasn't been enjoying the meta that much. He's been playing mostly Madden. And I think people then use that as a reason to say, oh, that's why you're not playing so well. And, honestly, in most ways, rightfully so. If you start playing significantly worse and you haven't been playing the game as much, people are almost always going to attribute it to you're just not playing that much. And Rehx has never really been grinding the game that much. Rehx is an absolute demon for how little he plays this game. I mean, he's a demon just regardless. He's one of the best players in the game and almost never plays. A lot of people always kind of point towards Commandment and Rehx for that. 2 people who are just insane but don't grind that much. I heard Rehx say today on Reet's stream, how do you boost the car? Like just showing that this man does not play the game that much. So pretty fair to say that might be why they didn't do so well. There were some very, very suspicious instances that I do have to call out. And I feel like when most streamers say they got stream sniped, a lot of people don't want to believe them and think it's an excuse. If you go back in Reet's VOD and you watch the gameplay, there was about 3 games where they got very, very suspiciously chased off spawn to the point where they got chased halfway around the map, then got killed and then got danced on. It doesn't look good. And I'm not going to pull like one of those moments where I say, if anyone dances on someone, they're stream sniping. Okay, everyone always points towards the ninja moment despite that whole situation, but it looked very, very deliberate. And it's worth noting as well, Reet and Rehx, the best team in NA West at Greasy, and And then we have Nebs and Hellfire, the best team in EU, and Greasy, both not qualifying. I don't know if Greasy in opens, I guess because there is a lot of drop RNG. Whoever gets control of main building and the huge amount of splashes usually gets the advantage in the spawn fight, and most teams will just 50-50 that building and try to win it regardless of having the best drop. So that could maybe be a bit of an issue as well. I don't want to just put Reet completely on blast because I'm sure TikTok and his stream is already doing that enough, but it was unfortunate to see. And again, not just Reet and Rehx, Wavy Jacob and Chris, Fekoy and Godku, 40R and Cadenox, and Mekton and Chicken. That is 5 really good teams, and NA West actually had the easiest threshold for qualifying. I was quite surprised to find out, despite NA West having so many less players than a region like EU, it was still top 400. EU qualification I think ended up being 137 points, whereas NA West was only about 109. So a huge difference in the amount of points required to qualify on either region, yet so many good teams on West struggled, and I was quite surprised to see that. NA East, I would say 3 notable teams didn't qualify, and on EU, 3 notable teams didn't qualify, but on NA West, it was 5, and I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just the opens plays in NA West are just different kinds of demons. Maybe they play a little bit weirder, so it's harder to comprehend. I'm not sure, but we've had a lot of seasons where people keep saying, oh, round 2 NA West, who are all these people? Who are all these no names? I don't know who they are. Where are the favorites? Well, in FNCS, the favorites still seem to be struggling a little bit, so it's going to be interesting seeing how NA West progresses. But like I said at the start, we do still have another set of round 1s. A lot of people confident that Reet and Rehx will pull it together. Maybe Reet puts a delay on, hides his stream, or doesn't stream, and should pretty easily qualify. In their last game, that's drop a 15 kill win. They were running through the whole lobby. I think they had 17 kills with like 35 players alive in a high skill-based matchmaking lobby towards the end, but unfortunately they pushed that extra fight a little bit too hard. Reet's shotgun shot like 20 white 5 times in a row, and they went down, but they were close in the end. They were very close to pulling it off. I'm sure they'll do it on Saturday. I also want to take a chance to talk about FNCS in general and just the hype around the community, because a lot of people are saying the same thing, and I fully get it. FNCS doesn't feel the same this season, and it's because it is so short. I mean, it started today and it's over in less than 3 weeks. It's seriously a very short FNCS, and a lot of people can't figure out why. I mean, I'm still assuming there's a major event coming at the end of this season where it's going to have major map changes, and FNCS needed to be finished before that. But then why didn't we just move FNCS a couple weeks earlier and made it 5 weeks? I guess the Twitch streamer ball was on, but holding up FNCS or kind of reducing it for, you know, tens of thousands of players for then, because there was a few people at streamer ball. I mean, again, what are your thoughts? Why do you think the FNCS has been made so short? I really don't know what it is. I'm still hoping it's something cool like map changes or maybe a major tournament at the end of the season, but I just don't know. But I wanted to talk about the amount of players that are actually playing. How much hype is there around FNCS and being involved in it, even though it's shorter? And I wanted to compare. So if we look at the Chapter 2 Season 8, so the last season of Chapter 2, the FNCS, we had 9,800 trios playing, and this is on EU. Now, that's obviously, you know, trios, so you got to times that by 3. So let's say you had about 30,000 players. Well, as Chapter 3 Season 1, so the current FNCS, has 32,681 duos. So again, let's just take 32,000, you times that by 2, it's 64,000. We have over double the participation of the current FNCS compared to the end of Chapter 2, the last season. But again, it is worth noting the FNCS during Chapter 2 Season 8 did start a lot sooner. It was 2 months since the launch of the season, whereas this current FNCS is 4.5 months in. So it's about double the time, or a little bit over double the time. So longer to get to champs, longer to get into the season to then participate. But that's still a huge jump up, double. And that's not just EU as well. NA East is the same. I can compare 3,476 trios compared to 16,192 duos. So again, that's about 32,000 people compared to about 10,000. So again, that one's actually triple. So there was a huge difference in the participation when it comes to FNCS right now. So the hype is around it. There is a lot of hype for FNCS right now. And again, I was streaming it today, doing a viewing party. It was exciting. I love watching the games and I was all there for them. We haven't even got to the set lobbies yet. It's sad to see that it is so short, because I feel like where most of the hype will fall a little bit short probably is the grand finals. But some people actually like it. Some of you guys in my chat today saying it's short and sweet. I really like how fast it is. I feel like it's only a few weeks long. It doesn't take up a whole bunch of time. I can really dedicate my time to focusing on it and enjoying it, and then it's done for. It doesn't drag out. And I kind of see that as well, but as someone who obviously has their full-time job revolving around competitive content, I like longer tournaments. But maybe for you guys who are a bit more casual, you got full-time jobs, you're going to school, maybe it's short and sweet. Again, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, with these qualifiers, if you come first or you come 400th, you are in the same boat for round 2 tomorrow, but there is some confidence. We got to talk about who's dominating these open lobbies, and with the format today, or when you're watching this video, or tomorrow for the round 2, it's going to be 2 hours, 7 games. The reason it's 2 hours long is because FNCS shortened it, or Fortnite shortened it, because it's on a school day and it was going to drag out way too long. The next round 2, so for qualifier 2, that's going back to 3 hours, 10 games. So only having 7 games and 2 hours, you really want to think who's coming out hot, like who's coming out swinging and easily qualified, because they need to do that today or they're going to struggle in the round 2. This is a very, very hard qualifying format to go from top 400 to top 50. That's not a lot, especially with only 7 games on the line. So on EU, we had Benji, Fishy, and Savage continuing their dominant run right now on 202 points, just beating out Hen and Queasy by a single point. Also, again, I said it, I pinned the comment, but I got to apologize. In my prediction video yesterday, I dropped the ball. I said Hen's been struggling coming out of last season, or he's been a bit quiet, I think I said. My man's won Grand Royale. I'm sorry, that one slipped. I had to include it here. Also, we had Lucia's team in 3rd. We had Vidil up there. We had Nako and Dan, who I mentioned as a big underdog. Tayson Thomas, iDrop, Slove, Kami, Fornax, Kiriachi, all the big names you'd expect. Like I said, I've already mentioned who didn't qualify, so pretty much everyone else who is relevant within the list who you think would qualify, they're up there. Moving on to NA East, we had a team that a lot of people haven't got too much of an eye on, myself included. I obviously know who they are, but I didn't pick them as my top 5 to walk away with it. Skittles and Tragics proved me wrong, coming out big in the opens, 191 points, 8 matches, 2 wins. So really, really consistent, good gameplay from them. Then we had Bucky and Cam in 2nd, who are doing really well in opens. I just want to see them have that little bit extra, you know, performance when it comes to finals. We had Jays up there, Smite, Oliver OG, Ages, Chaos Gaming, D-Roller, Jays, Jamper. Again, all the teams I mentioned, if I didn't mention them, they're up there, they qualified. And then moving on to NA West, we have so many new names as always, because obviously I just talked about how 5 of the biggest teams didn't qual. We had Etso and Busy on 195, getting 8 matches, 3 wins. Really, really good gameplay from them. We had Flameback's team, Beast. We had now Haritos, Chicken Itza, Dio's, Defiable, Beast, Creep, Landjock, and Punisher, who were in 1st to 1 place. Again, got to shout out the OGs. I love the Landjock and Punisher are back. When it comes to those final set lobbies and the pressure lobbies, that's where I expect the vets to come through. So really excited to keep cheering them on. And yeah, across the board, there was some really big names at the top, really, really good game quality. And yeah, it's only opens, but I still like to shout out the winners. All right, guys, that does it for another video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please chuck a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.